Okay, so we are recording.
Start podcasting, like now.
Welcome to GloryHoundd and the Uninvited Gamers. I'm your host, GloryHoundd, and tonight's Uninvited Gamers are...
Dr. GloryHoundd.
Greg Dixon.
And today we're recording down at our studio house /
It's so large and studious.
It is very.
That's why you can see like half of me.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, do we have anything cool to talk about other than our awesome studio this week?
No, nothing. Nothing's happened.
Nothing's happened?
It's been dead all week.
We're going to PAX West, but by the time they see this...
We'll be there.
No, well, we'll be like weeks back. Yeah, weeks back from PAX West, so...
Oh, okay.
We record these 6 months in advance.
That's right, I know.
That sounds wrong. I know it's not that far in advance.
But we're planning on doing a live thing there. Are you looking what? Like you don't know?
She's planning on doing stuff.
Thing.
At this point,
I'm
they've
planning
already done a live thing there.
I'm planning on doing a live thing, so take a look at that. It's going to be on our YouTube or
she
something
plans
somewhere.
things. I'm there for things. It works out.
It happens. It happens. Well, this week I got the pleasure to play Speakeasy Blues.
Oh, I've heard good things. That's been on my radar for a while.
So exciting. We saw this game on Kickstarter. We didn't talk about it on our Kickstarter show.
We didn't.
Excuse me, but it was so good, guys. Like
rub it in.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to discuss the game except for just let you know that you fail at life because you weren't there.
The game itself, there's a lot of iconography in it. So, like, as you're looking at stuff, you know, once you get familiar with those icons, after that, the game runs pretty smoothly, okay? But it was so interesting because you take a bunch of dice, and they're paired in couples. So, like, 2 blue dice, 2 pink dice, and so on. And you roll the dice. Excuse me. You roll a dice, and those dice are going to become your actions during the game. So you'll have certain dice on the board, and then as well as like a dice pool. And whenever you take 2 dice off the board for your turn and then roll them, you only have the actions in that dice pool to choose from, and you have to pick the 2 colored matching dice for that. And that's super simple. Like. It's such a simple mechanic.
Is it kind of like the day-night?
It's so interesting.
Is it kind of like the day-night mechanic in like Jamaica, where it's like you've got 2 dice and you have to decide like which one's going to be part of the day phase and which one's going to be the night phase?
Sort of, but like this, you would have 6 dice, but they're all paired differently, and then they all have usually like different icons, or sometimes they'll build up where there's the same icon on a bunch of them. And then you take those dice and then you place them as your actions on the board in specific action spots. So if I have a hand and a martini glass and a hand and a martini glass and then like 2 guns, it's like my actions are limited for what I want to pick on that.
You've got to drink martinis or shoot people.
That's right.
It's your only options.
Sounds like Saturday night.
We're either drinking or murdering. It's our only options.
So it sounds very tactical.
Very tactical.
You got to roll with whatever you roll.
It was so interesting. And
that's how I'd run my speakeasy. Like I'd roll a dice. Either you live or you drink.
Well, whenever I was...
You drink and live or you die.
Whenever I was rolling, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, enough icons are going to come up. But they really did start to add up where all of a sudden you would just get a bunch of the same ones. You're like, oh, man, like I'm kind of pigeonholed here. And then if there's
murder my way out of here.
If there's certain icons on the dice...
Going out shooting.
And you...
Killing everyone in the bar. Everyone. All my patrons dead.
Well, some of them, like, you have to take certain dice off the board to open up those spots because you know that 4 of the dice are, like, at a certain thing, and so you don't want to, like, lose your turn because of that.
So it's not frustrating, though? I mean, even though it sounds very limiting, but it sounds like it's you still had a great time
Whenever
with
you
it.
say
I had
dice
a really good time
and
with
she
it.
likes it, I'm always confused.
Well, because it's not like a game of chance because you still have a dice pool to choose from. And that dice pool, you can always pay $1 to, I guess, like, roll the dice pool for your turn, but... That was just such an interesting portion of that game that I don't think I've really seen before. You know, where your dice are your actions on that, but then you're limited by what's out on the board and stuff, you know? And then after that, the rest of the game was more
She didn't invite us to play, so we have no comments.
I didn't.
That does seem interesting and unique.
She had to find like a secret speakeasy, and they had like the
That's
little
right.
thing, and then like she gave a password.
I was the manager of the Kit Kat Club, so it was perfect.
Was it?
So the theme is just running your own speakeasy, or
it is. So
and, like trying to avoid the cops, or what? How does it work?
Well, that's just the action part. Like the rest of the game is like a set collection game. So you have a board in front of you, and you're trying to get certain people to come to your speakeasy and like hang out there. So some people are like really good that come in, and we'll give you like points at the end of the game that are like famous people. And some of the people you can get are like gangsters to come to your club and stuff like that.
What are you set collecting? You're like, here's 3 dead policemen. Here's 4 moonshiners.
Well, now that there's dead policemen stacked in the corner, I'm there Friday night.
Here's 5 burned out warehouses.
No, you can collect people. So like maybe there's like a Marilyn Monroe figure and she can come hang out at your club. Or maybe the local cops come and
I bet
hang
she
out
brings
at your
all the
club.
boys to the speakeasy.
Well, that's right. And
it's a good way for it not to be a speakeasy. I feel like it would just become a club then.
There's certain events that you can have at your club. So like you can have like little sailboating events and stuff like that. So you have different things that come to your club.
Sailboating events?
Yeah, sailboating events. Yeah, that's the one I remember. There's all I remember is a sailboat and then like a car and like the little wheel thing.
You're like in a speakeasy and there's a sailboat?
Maybe they just
Clearly
watch
I'm
it on
lower
TV.
class because she talks about sailboats and I'm like, toot toot. I don't even know what a sailboat is. What does a sailboat sound like? Like flapping sails? Just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a sailboat sound.
That sounded like something else.
Moving on.
I don't know. What's a
Moving
sailboat?
on.
Please send us sounds of sailboats.
Man of 1,000 voices, ladies and gentlemen.
Like that guy from Police Academy,
Yeah,
but better.
pretty much.
Same diff.
Good reference, too, by the way, for all the 50-year-olds watching.
Oh, my God, right? That's true. That's true. Well, I mean, I really enjoyed myself on this
Kids don't play games.
This game. Like, it was a surprise. Like,
I've only heard good things.
Yeah, the art was good in it. It was
I've
challenging.
only heard no things.
It was challenging. It was a good game. And that was by Artana Games.
Did you win?
I did not win. I lost by like 1 point.
See, that's what surprises me.
I lost by 1 point.
I think it's the first time she's ever answered, no, I didn't win, whenever she says, I like a game. Because usually it's like, did you like the game? I loved it. Did you win?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I lost by 1 point, but it was very satisfying.
Who won?
I don't know if I can say his name on camera. Our friend Alex.
Voldemort?
Our friend.
Yeah, he's not going to die. He just...
Well, I don't know who wants to be on the camera and who doesn't, like their names and stuff.
If you like mention him, he just shows up like, hello, did you call me?
It's like Beetlejuice. Alex.
You gotta say his name 3 times.
I wish that's how it worked.
You gotta say the full name 3 times.
I would never have. I'd never have a situation where like, oh, we need a third player. I'd just be like, Alex. Yes.
Suddenly his wife's like, wow, we were just sitting down for dinner and he disappears.
Hopefully that's what he was doing.
Well,
You're like, here's some toilet paper, finish up, and then you can join us.
that's why you don't call him from the
That's
bathroom.
why you're a good
okay?
friend. You let him finish up. Feel free to finish up.
Well, it's my furniture.
You just throw toilet paper in his face.
Finish up, bro.
I don't want to be anywhere near that situation.
All right.
So now, not only have we mentioned Alex's name,
Awesome.
but people assume he has IBS or something.
That's what they're assuming, all right.
Or something.
Well, I really enjoyed this game, Speakeasy. It was fun to be a club owner. The mechanics were extremely interesting and challenging, and it did have a little bit of a take that mechanic to it as far as like you were able to affect other people's boards and stuff like that.
Were you able to like sick the cops on other people's speakeasies?
Yeah, so you were able to use gangsters to like muscle into other clubs and like take stuff.
That's cool.
But if somebody had a cop at their club turned face down, they could turn it face up to try to stop you.
Campus.
So how
Yeah.
lazy am I that if I had muscle, I wouldn't use them to rough up people? I'd have them like do stuff like mount my TV on the wall, sweep up the front yard, like pull that cement block out of the backyard.
I
I've
think
been
that's a
talking about
different
doing.
type of muscle. Yeah.
I'd be like, there's a tree that
talking
needs to
about,
be
like,
uprooted.
goons versus like...
Yeah, I need goons. I don't need people to
Oh.
muscle people. I need people basically to do my chores.
We had some bad wind the other day. I need
Yeah.
a new roof.
Throw those bikes up on top of the car. I'm not trying to reach right now.
Well,
Move these Calic shelves.
Dr. GloryHoundd, what did you end up playing?
I'm not allowed to play games. You
Oh,
said
okay,
I
well,
was not
never
allowed
mind.
to.
Greg,
No.
what
Well,
did you end up playing?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I got Villainous. Look at that.
Look at that.
Oh, maybe not upside down, though.
Oh, God. Sorry, it's my first time. Boom.
Boom, Villainous.
Villainous.
Not the first time you said that.
What do you think, guys? That's all I got to say about it.
Let's open the box.
What's in the box?
You want me to open it while you talk?
Oh, my
Oh my
God.
God.
Oh
I
my
just
gosh.
moved everything.
The whole table
All right.
shifted.
So, Villainous is a game produced by people that know people at Disney. That's all I know about that.
Oh my
So
God.
it's produced by some people.
It's a
and
design team.
So this game, we picked it up at Target. So typically we don't buy games
I'm
from
upside down challenge.
the bigger box stores. We tend to try to do like the local game stores or sometimes online. But this is one that's actually in big box stores, and it's a really good game. Essentially what you get with this game, besides
I like how you just
the
like
abstract
labeled
figures,
all big box store games, that's not good games. You're like, actually, this one from the store is a really good game.
No, there's good ones there, but to be fair, most games that they sell in big box stores, they only recently started selling better board games. Before it was more like the
It was all mass
Hasbro.
market, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Hasbro Family Market, family game night stuff, which isn't bad. I mean, I'd still play some of those games, but they're not games that I'm like excited to go out and buy. I've played them a million times.
These pieces are like the cutest. Like,
They're very abstract.
Yeah, Greg just went ahead and showed all of you. Like, those are just so adorable.
So the unique thing about this game is that there's 6 decks that it comes with, so 6 different villains, right? And every single one of the decks plays differently. They all use the same icons, so you know that like if you can just jump into the next character and it's not a problem, but they all have different goals and objectives. So, for example, one of her favorite characters, Maleficent, she's got to get 4 curses out on the board, which can sometimes be fast, but it's easy to disrupt as long as you go into her fate deck, because every player has their deck that they play with, and then a fate deck, which is going to be like all the heroes and stuff that try to thwart your plans, right? So like if you're playing Jafar, it'd be like Aladdin and Genie and Abu and all these people that are going to try to stop you from taking over the world. So for with Maleficent, what you want to do is you want to go to her fate deck a lot and try to shut down her curses. But they all play differently.
Yeah, every deck. And I feel like there's a couple of decks that are quite easy to play, and then a couple that are a little bit mid-range, and then maybe a few that are harder to play.
Which ones do you think are the hardest and easiest? Because I've only played it once.
I think Ursula and Jafar are the hardest.
Yeah,
so?
we had someone
Yeah.
playing Jafar.
See, but I really like Jafar.
Yeah.
Jafar's deal is, so a lot of these are kind of like Magic the Gathering decks where you're trying to combo, right? So you're looking for 2 or 3 specific cards to win. So Jafar is trying to unlock the Cave of Wonders, play the lamp, which activates the genie, control the genie, and then move the lamp to the Sultan's palace, kind of following the storyline of the movies. And
They're
to do
all,
that, you have
like,
to look through your whole deck to try to find
super
the magic
thematic.
lamp and to try to unlock the Cave of Wonders. And right, they're all very thematic. And then like the Red Queen has to do wickets, and then she has to do a crochet shot.
Croquet? Or
Crochet?
a
I
crochet
don't know.
shot?
She does something. She does one of those fancy English things. She plays cricket. I don't know.
Tea and crumpets.
I
Yeah,
think it
she
may be
drinks tea.
croquet, guys.
Doesn't
Did
matter.
you say croquet?
He
don't know,
said
croquet.
crochet.
Oh,
Crochet.
crochet.
You know what? Let's be real here. We won that war, so we can call it what we want. Not to rub salt in wounds. I'm just saying we won that one.
No, this is super thematic. I mean, just to...
No, the game itself,
Right.
yeah. I mean, you are as the villain are going against heroes in the deck that you've seen in the show, and each person like
Think
just
you mean movies?
well,
She
yeah,
said show.
in the movies. Well, like the Red Queen hitting the ball through the croquet.
Crochet.
Yeah, exactly, through the crochet thing.
Croquet.
It's perfect. It's like that's exactly what the Red Queen is going to be doing, and all the cards look fantastic.
Well, right. Like Captain Hook has to fight Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
No,
so
it
you have to
was
get Peter
super
Pan
cute.
out and then fight him.
This game was a surprise to me whenever I had started playing it and stuff. I was like, okay, I kind of really like this game. Like, I thought it was all just going to be thematic stuff and like, I don't know. I didn't think there was going to be a bunch of like fun mechanics in it.
Well, I think the best
But-
part of it is the fact that they all play differently.
Yeah. So it's like you're getting little mini games. You're getting 6 little mini games. That's what it's kind of like.
Because I've played all 3 of one side, and she's played all 3 of the other side, and they all do play very differently. And kind of like Magic the Gathering, there kind of becomes like a meta where like if you know what that person's playing,
Right.
you know how to interact with them. So, for example, first time I played Prince John, he's trying to get a bunch of power. She kept putting a bunch of heroes on my stuff, which limits my stuff. But Prince John can levy taxes against the heroes and get power that way. So her putting that stuff out actually ended up helping me and helping me get to my goal faster. But now that she knows that, she'll never do that again.
Right. Well, Greg, how did you like the game? I know you got to play it.
Yeah, I like that even though it's asymmetrical and everyone has different goals and different powers. Oh, cameo.
Oh, kitty.
Right as I'm starting to talk, the cat's like, nope.
Come here.
Come on, kitty. Yeah, so that's a cat face.
This happens a lot.
And cat butt.
We'll just slide that off there nonchalantly.
I have no idea.
So,
I
although
remember.
it's
So yeah,
asymmetrical,
so it's still quick to learn. Like you
Yes.
learn the mechanics very quickly, and then the game sort of almost. I mean, they give you like a little player guide that kind of tells you what you want to work on.
yeah, which is really good because it's good to know.
And it's fast, but it's fast to learn. Like I've heard of people. I haven't played Vast, for instance, but like people talk about how everyone has to learn a whole different game with each other. Here, the
Yeah.
basic mechanics are even; they're the same for everybody, but your goals are a little different. Your card play is going to be a little different. You've got a few special cards, that are unique
That's
to
true.
you. So I like how quickly you can pick up on
Well,
it,
right, 'cause
even though you're
once
doing
we
completely
played-
different things than everybody else.
Once we
Yeah.
played one, we could play any of the other characters easily, and they all do play slightly differently. But I don't think that any of them are super overpowered or underpowered. They just play differently, and they need the right combos to work.
That's a really interesting thing comparing it to Vast, though, and it.
I haven't played
because
Vast,
because you are playing completely different things.
Yeah.
However, the base mechanics are completely the same, and I
Yeah.
didn't even think of that.
Well,
yeah.
and then the Fate decks
That's nice.
make it so that you're interacting with the other players. Otherwise, they would feel like, oh, I'm
Like
just
you
doing
were
my
just
thing
playing
over
your own
here, and I'm
game,
trying
yeah.
to trying to speed it
Yeah.
out. But you messing with the Fate and throwing a boo down who stole the magic lamp, that stopped me from winning.
Yeah.
I do think it's important to know though which ones are easier and harder to
Oh,
play.
okay, yeah.
Because when I played it, at least I was Maleficent and I was playing against
Yeah.
Ursula and Jafar, and it felt like, especially Jafar,
Mm-hmm.
it felt like his task, his win conditions, it felt much harder than mine. Mine was just get 4 cards down on 4 different spots.
see,
Now I had to dig for them and stuff. But
I like Jafar though, so for me, playing Jafar, I ended up winning once with him, and then the second time I played Jafar, I was a turn away. She stopped me twice
Okay.
from winning. Otherwise, I
So-
would have won. It was close.
I think maybe
Yeah.
this is it. So if you're going to play a 2-player game, the easiest decks are going to be Prince John and the Red Queen.
Probably,
deck.
I'd agree with that.
You
Prince
know?
John seemed fairly
Yeah,
straightforward.
because Prince John, you're just collecting
20
power, and then with the Red Queen, you're trying to put the wickets down and then do the
Make a
croquet
shot.
thing. Yeah, make the shot, and it's pretty easy to get the wickets down. Okay, the next probably good combination would probably be, I want to say maybe Captain Hook and then Maleficent. Although Captain Hook might be a little bit harder to play than Maleficent, but I think that's a better pairing.
Maybe.
Because
Because Maleficent, every time we
Maleficent
played
is trying to
Maleficent
put the
versus
curse-
Jafar, Maleficent, I had to stop Maleficent from winning, early on,
yeah,
really early on. Because you
Yeah.
could have won if I wouldn't have gone to the Fate deck, which pigeonholed me. Where I'm I have to go do something that interacts with your Fate deck, and then hope I flip over something, or you're just going to win early.
right. But I think these pair together a little bit better, and then I think the hardest ones are Ursula and Jafar.
yeah, so see, I was playing
You know?
Maleficent against Ursula and Jafar.
Yeah.
And it felt great to win, but at the same time, I kind of felt
Yeah.
like, seems like they have a
have
lot to do
so
compared to me.
much
I
different
think
stuff here. Yeah.
because we play them, one-on-one. I
Even-
think playing it with
That's gonna be a very
4,
different
5, 6
experience.
people. Because then you will see oh, Maleficent's about
Yeah.
to win. That's 6 people. That's 4 other people or 5 other people
This
that can try to shut it down.
Plays better at more people, I think, because
I would think so.
there's more people to police other players.
When you start playing with more people, it'll be more like Munchkin. The first person to get close is going to be the one that gets shut down hard.
Right.
There'd be more metagame too of
Yeah.
hey, that guy, look at them, they're so close to their win
Right.
condition, and that kind of talk.
The best thing about this game, though, is that you're going to vote and get new villains, which means new decks, and I think that's amazing. I can't
yeah,
wait.
new villain decks. We had
Well,
a
this is,
discussion
very
online.
expandable. Yeah.
Yeah, that was who would you like
So
as your next
who are your
villain?
top villains?
For me, because I didn't really like the male characters as much. None of them I think are that great. I mean, Jafar's all right, but Captain Hook seems like just a not my cup of tea. He gets beat up by
He's
a
kind of a
child.
goof. Yeah, he's kind of a goofball.
Yeah. And then, Prince John was a big baby. I mean, he sucked his thumb literally in the movie a couple times. So for me,
You
I'm
can
looking
play
for
a woman. You don't have to play a male.
No,
villain.
That's
I know.
true.
Well, she picked all the good ones. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be she turned into a dragon, and I'm over here sucking my thumb." Seems very uneven.
I picked Maleficent too because I was
Did
like,
you?
Maleficent's awesome.
Yeah,
She does
'cause
turn into
she's
a dragon.
Freaking awesome.
I always play green anyway.
So if
that
I
worked,
had to pick characters, we were basing it just off of if I had to pick new male characters. I think I said Thanos because he's part of Disney now. You got
Darth Vader.
So right, Darth Vader's another good one. But I liked Oogie Boogie because he was always good
Yeah,
in The
Oogie
Nightmare Before
Boogie.
Christmas.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
And then I think Scar would actually play pretty well, even though he was kind of he was smart. He knew he was weaker than his brother, so he was like, I'm not going to try to beat him in a fight that way. I'm going to be devious. And so I think that plays kind of like how like Maleficent would probably
My favorite
play.
one that was mentioned was Gaston. I thought,
See,
that
I
would be
don't-
a
But see,
fantastically
Gaston,
hilarious
how is he going to
deck.
win? He just
don't
oppresses
know.
Belle,
No,
makes her marry him.
Think about it. If you're Gaston and then a mirror comes into play and you just have to sit at that location.
You lose a turn.
Yeah, right. You'd have to sit at that location. You can't move until the mirror's vanquished or
I would
something.
say there's definitely some really good women
It'd be so
villains
funny.
in Disney movies. They're wow, they're crazy powerful. Even Sword in the Stone, the old witch, she was great. She turned into a dragon. They had this whole big wizard fight. great, but like I don't. Yeah, a lot of the male characters I'm just not a biggest fan of. But
Cruella
Thanos,
DeVille, she has to like skin 100 dogs before the
Yeah.
game's over.
That's
there's some good ones.
That's right.
Well, think about Scar. He'd have to kill his brother.
So sad.
Yeah.
You have to kill his brother and exile Simba, right?
Yeah.
Like that'd be great.
Usurp the throne.
Right.
Thanos would have to collect the Infinity Stones.
Well, did you guys both like it then?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
I
it.
liked it.
It's
And
lighter.
and
It's like
Yeah.
King of Tokyo light.
It's a lighter game,
It's
but I
medium.
think it's an all over. Just everybody would kind of like playing, on
Yeah.
a light game
I think
night.
the key thing is to try to find villains that are similar in difficulty.
Yeah.
Because
Or-
otherwise
or
it just
play a big
feels or play a big
Like
game.
I wouldn't give my mom or daughter like Jafar or something.
Yeah.
Or
Not the first
Ursula.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the first time. I'd start them out on some of the easier decks to
I
play.
think the
so-
balance is the only small concern I might have. But
But-
it's just such a fun thematic experience that even if it's not fully balanced, it's still really fun to.
I don't think it's absurdly balanced though either, because
It's
like I
not.
won with Jafar, I've won with Prince John. The only one I lost was Captain Hook, and then I lost the second time I played Jafar, but it was close. Like I messed up her from winning with Maleficent, then she messed me up, and then I couldn't mess her up the second time she went to win. But if I could have, then I would have won the next turn. So they were all within a turn of each other, where you literally had to stop the other player so they didn't win, so that you
Yeah.
could win.
I think it's a pretty good value too. Like Target has it
Yeah,
for
it was
$35.
Very good value.
Got a lot of
yeah.
beautiful art. You got a bunch of custom
Yeah.
decks. You've got the cool little pieces that I showed off, the
Yeah.
little pawns.
Like a lot of the materials are cheap, like the box and some
Well,
of
the box
cardboard
and
stuff.
cards are, but like not cheap in the way of art at all. Like
No.
the art is fantastic on the cards. They
But
have
to be fair, it's Disney. They're going to try to milk as much money out of it as they can.
they have that
At least it's
layered
not
art
just-
effect on the cards.
At least
Like-
you're not just buying it for just the licensing, and then that's all you're getting it
that's
for.
true, yeah.
There's
Well,
a lot of games
yeah,
like
in
that.
in the past, if you bought
Mm-hmm.
a Disney villain game, it would be like, oh, we reskinned Candyland or
Or
something.
Uno, right?
They
Like-
actually put some interesting mechanics in the
Yeah.
box, and you get a pretty good production.
and everyone's
for
board's
$35
different. Like you mentioned, everyone's board's different too. So like some
Yeah.
people start off with
Yeah.
4 locations, some start with 3.
Yeah, we were partway through, and one of the players was like, "Wait a minute, I don't even have this action available to me."
Right?
I don't think you need that action.
No, you don't. You don't. It's really interesting. And this is by Wonder Forge Games.
There we go.
so, Yeah.
I also think it's very
Wonderforge.
fitting that it's a take that game because you're all
It
playing
is.
villains.
I know, right? You would mess with. You'd send Peter Pan over.
Whenever
there
you're
to
like
mess
in a
with somebody.
cartoon and bad guys pair up, they always are like at each other's throats and stuff.
You would just be
so-
like, "Hey, Peter Pan, I think I know where Hook's at."
Right. And this is
Send
for
TikTok after him, the crocodile.
yeah.
2 to 6 players. Can last like 50 minutes. I would say
Yeah.
with at least 10 minutes per player.
I think
at least
so.
on this,
we,
I
we
think.
finished it like 30-ish to 50-ish minutes with 2
Yeah.
players, but with more, I think
I think
would
it was
take
an
longer.
hour.
Yeah, it'll-
but we were all learning it.
Yeah,
It'll take more time with more players on this, and it'll be a pretty short game with
unless
2
you're just really
players,
good
yeah.
like me,
Well,
win it fast.
so Greg, what did you end up playing this week?
So I
Let's
did
see it. Get it out.
Here it
pull
is.
it out.
Villainous.
Oh no!
No, I
Stop moving our whole table. It's a
whoa.
very expensive table.
I can tell. Is this
I
this
know, so
It's
fancy,
mahogany,
it's
oak,
so
cedar
fancy
wood.
underneath, but
It's all
nobody
3
can
woods
see.
combined.
I
I'm surprised
mean,
there's so much gold leafing on it.
We actually bought it from Trump Tower.
Along with the stakes I see over here.
That's right.
Um,
Our brick wall is made with gold bricks.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm coming back here with a pickaxe later.
Right.
I need to get my kids through college.
Did you
someday.
actually play a game, or are you stalling?
I'm
He's
stalling.
like, I don't remember what I played.
He's gonna like.
No.
He's gonna quickly start playing one of the games behind him real quick.
So I played a Happy Salmon by myself. Now, doesn't sound right at all. So my game's fitting because they're all games about like villains and stuff. Yours was gangsters.
Oh, this is awesome. We have a villain day.
Yeah, yours was Disney villains.
An unannounced villain day.
and
It's like
mine-
when you and your crew all show up to work wearing the same color blue polo. Twinsin. Twinsin.
Mine was called Good Critters, which I think is like a play off of Goodfellas. So it's like a gangster theme. It's all anthropomorphic animals, and in it, basically, you're taking turns being the boss. It's a very simple concept. It actually reminds me kind of like Dead Last. It's very take that ish, and the boss is gonna show a bunch of cards off the top of the deck. I don't have a copy. I played it at someone else's house. They're gonna turn over a bunch of cards off the top of the deck that have different monetary values on them, and then they hand them out to people and just here you get 6, you get 8, you get 7,000. I'll take only 5 for myself, and then there's like a voting round where people vote whether they
okay.
keep them as the boss or not. So if you can keep everybody happy, then they'll keep voting you in, and you can remain the boss turn after turn after
Yeah, I
turn.
remember
That sounds
hearing
like this
about
household. I swear they have a vote every other week. to determine if I can still be part of the house. It gets pretty dicey around here.
You're outnumbered. Whenever it's
Yeah.
it's men versus women, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's me and one other dog, and then everybody else
That's
is
it.
women.
Everybody else.
It's
women.
it's
Wow.
like 3 to I think it's 3 to 1
If
ratio.
you keep that mouth up, then we'll see what happens this week.
Well, in college, you always said
That could
you
go
wanted
e-
to be
that could
surrounded
go-
by women, right?
That could go either way, which she just said.
So yeah, so it's a very simple
Okay.
idea, and then meanwhile, everyone has a deck of or a hand of cards that have the same actions. You
What
can
a
either
unique idea.
you can either you can
Deck of cards.
whoa,
my god!
you could hold cards in your hand instead of just sitting them for birthdays.
Is that a game or an activity, Greg?
It's definitely a game.
Anything with cards, just activity now.
So, and everyone has the same actions. They can vote yes to keep the boss in. They can vote no. They can skim, and if they're the first person in player order that chooses the skim action, they can just take one little money card off the top.
Okay.
They can rob. You have like these little standees, and you place them in front of people and kind of threaten, like, "Hey, during the vote, I might rob you." And then they have the guard card, and if they guard when you do actually rob, then they can protect themselves. But otherwise, you can steal cards from them. So, like the first couple turns, the boss, our friend Dan, just decided to completely exclude me from anything. So he's giving money to
That's
everyone
fair,
else,
though.
and I'm just there like, what? I would totally vote yes. Like, why am I just excluded for
he
no
tried
reason?
tanking you in the game.
So I just started robbing him
knows you-
over and over again.
You know why? Because he looked at you and he's like, "This guy's a rat.
I can't trust this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's clearly a rat."
He was right, but he remained boss because he kept hooking
kept-
everybody
yeah.
up.
Everybody's like, yeah, he seems
You
like a
only
good
need to
guy. He's
hook
giving
up-
everybody money.
You just need to
like-
hook up the majority.
Right, but the
That's
problem is
right.
if you're hooking people up turn after turn after turn, you lose.
Where's your game going? Where's your game
And that's
going?
that's
then?
ultimately what happened.
That's what happened.
He
to
hung
them, yeah.
on to the boss for so long, but he lost the game.
Yeah.
It's a really fun,
Worth
laugh
it.
out loud, take that, and it's fun when you can pull off a rob. It's fun when you can pull out the little skim off the top.
The art in this game is
Skimming
cute
money
too,
from
yeah?
gangsters is fun. He's
Yeah.
he's not wrong.
Try it at home, kids.
Definitely.
I loved it. We played a whole bunch of games that night, a bunch of like hidden roll social deduction style games like Hail Hydra. We played Dude, which we can talk about on another episode. We played a whole bunch of stuff that
Dude.
night, but Good Critters stood out as
Was the
our
one
favorite of that
yeah,
night.
it seems
Over
really
Hail Hydra,
cool.
really?
The experience was the most fun. Yeah,
made-
yeah. No,
made
it
a
was.
mistake.
Well, you're doing a lot more in that game because you're robbing from players and you're voting people.
It was
to
so
boss and stuff.
interactive.
Yeah, that's
it
really
was the
cool.
most like laugh out loud, like
There's just like a lot of actions in your face all at once.
I like that.
Well,
Just
because
fly at me, you know.
If you think about it, most social deduction games, like you don't have a whole lot of actions other than just like talking with people and
Right.
maybe figuring something out. But this
Being
seems
social.
like it's
Who wants
super
that?
interactive, and if it's super interactive with your social deduction, like that just brings you like into the game more, you know?
Yeah, no, I love the game Dead Last by Smirk and Dagger, and it has a similar
Yeah.
feel to that,
Yeah.
where you're just sort of temporarily ganging up on people, and it was fun to watch Dan lose.
You're like, and the best part was watching Dan lose.
Now
Thank
the
you.
art is
Thank
great.
you.
It's a Dice Tower essential. It's so it's got their
So
seal.
it's out now, and people can get it in the stores.
I
and
believe so.
pick
Yeah,
it
I think
up,
it was like a
yeah.
Gen Con thing.
Because I know Villainous was sold out. Is sold out. Was sold out. Like
You might be able to find it,
it's
but
harder
yeah.
to find it.
You could find it, but you got to search for it. Like I did like a search online of like all the targets in my area, and like
Yeah.
the closest target was like an hour away or something. I was like, yeah, I'm not going that far for it.
We got the last one in our
Villainous.
area.
Yeah, I checked the
The
same
last
store, and I held your copy in my hand and went, I want to play it first. And then you guys bought it probably 2 days later.
Yeah.
And then
We weren't afraid to slap a ring on it, Greg.
You just
well, you know,
I'm just non-committal.
that's what you do. That's what you do.
What can I say?
And then I don't think Speakeasy's Blues is out just yet. I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
I'll have to
I'm not
look.
even 100%. But I think by the time people watch
I know
this,
it was like a Kickstarter
everything
thing.
will
Oh,
be
probably.
available.
Well, yeah,
probably.
we don't actually post these. These are just.
remember we do these 6 months in advance.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
looking forward to Valentine's Day coming up next week.
All right. Well, Greg, where can we find you at?
Greg C. Dixon is my personal, but you can also follow Hooked on Geek, which is the podcast I put out every Monday. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Dr.
Hooked on
GloryHoundd,
Geek.
where can we find you?
At Dr. GloryHoundd on Twitter, on Instagram, on any other game you see. If you see Dr. GloryHoundd or GloryHoundd with 2 G's, it's probably
That's
me.
approved. Dr. GloryHoundd
Or me
approved.
pretending to
yeah.
be him.
There you go.
Could
right?
be him. Or, of course, you can find us on Twitch.
That's right. And as I mentioned, I mean, because we'll be up in September by the time this airs, we are all going to BGG Con. So, like, if you want to hang out there and play games with us and stuff, hit us up online, and
$5
we would
a
love
game.
to do that. Now,
We're paying them to put up with us.
No, we pretend like
we put up with our
They'll pay us?
shenanigans.
we
yeah.
pretend like
You
they'll
think
pay
they'll pay
us.
us?
No,
Really?
they won't
They
really,
will-
but we're
oh.
pretending.
Yeah.
Because I could use some money.
I know. When you at BGG Con, that's where you need money.
Well, yeah, because you want to buy more games.
Everything's
there,
full
you know?
price.
Well,
Yeah, we bring like an
yeah.
extra suitcase.
I do too. Every time I
Maybe
bring an
we'll look-
empty suitcase.
What we should do is we should go to the vendor hall together, like
Yeah.
all three of
And
us.
then
You buy
we,
that
like-
one, I'll
Yeah.
buy
Yeah,
this one.
split them up. Okay, we got it. We got a plan. All right.
We got
cool.
this.
Good job.
All right. Well,
Good
make
job, team.
sure to like and
Go
subscribe.
team.
And check us out. We're gonna be doing live streams on with our Kickstarters on Fridays. So check us out for that too.
Yeah, GloryHoundd. Look for that.